Yo, how are we doing? Great to see you. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to come and spend it with me. I'm Ryan Hartley. And this is the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. Let me just say thank you for taking the time to catch up on replay. Thank you for taking the time to catch up on the podcast or YouTube, wherever you are checking this interview session out from. Just massively grateful. Always grateful for you taking some time out of your day to spend it with me and my guest, because we effectively will be doing this tonight to help you learn about the habits and mindset behind successful and inspiring people. I say this every week. I am just one curious little monkey, and I just love to learn what inspires, motivates and drives people, what helps them be successful. And that's effectively what this is all about, me asking a successful or inspiring person a bunch of questions to help me learn. And I thought, why not use the power of social media for social good and share that with you all. And actually, in the last 40... this is episode 46. In the last 45 episodes, loads of people have turned up and have been inspired by the wonderful people that I've spoken to. So I have no doubt that tonight is going to be the same. And actually, this is the last one of the year for me. And what do I mean by that? This time last year, I did my first ever Always Better Than Yesterday interview session. And I've absolutely loved it. I'm not going to do too much reflection on it now. I will do that probably tomorrow on the actual anniversary of the first ever Always Better Than Yesterday interview session. But here we are, episode 46. If you've not caught any of them before and you feel inspired to go check out our previous guests, then please do head to the podcast. Please do head to the YouTube or even the Facebook page here. So anyway, before I ramble on too much, I am going to bring on my guest, because that's who you're all here to hear from. Not necessarily me. I'm just the guy that questions you really want to hear from my guest. So just going to bring her on now. Drummer. I've not had one of these. There we go. How are you?
Hi, good. I had to turn my phone the other way.
Okay.
So
Did I give you the wrong instructions?
Yeah, a little bit. Right, and I've dropped my pen. 2 seconds.
I've only done this 46 times. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm thinking he definitely said this way, but yes, I think we're up. We're on.
Sorted.
Yeah. How you doing?
Great to see you.
Thank you very much. You too.
Do me the honour and the privilege of introducing your good self and just tell our watchers and listeners a little bit about who you are and your story.
Okay, so my name is Chelsea Simpson. I'm a mum of two, first and foremost. I am also a life coach and NLP master practitioner. What is that? So I'm a big believer of change. For me, I'll go a little bit into my story in a second, but for me, it's all about change. I help people work out the things that they're uncomfortable with. Sometimes we don't even need to know what's wrong or what's not right. But we just need to know that we're not satisfied, and I kind of help people do that. So NLP is all about the way that we communicate, the patterns of behaviour that we have,
Sure.
Whether they're serving us and whether they're not. So I've been doing this now for 3 years. It's crazy actually to think how much that's changed over that time. For me, a little bit of my history is I've struggled with anxiety, OCD, the whole suicide things due to my past. It's a very in-depth story, but it started with one overcoming sexual abuse, ended up in domestic abusive relationships, and something I really had to overcome. But my biggest challenge was actually these events happened at the time, but it was what I was doing to myself internally. You're not good enough. These daily battles of, it's your fault, you're to blame, this whole living in this guilt and shame. Into actually, it created this almost like this split personality, if you like. I had these masks that I would put on for people where I come from a finance and legal background. So I've had some very powerful jobs, which means I've had to show up, be this confident person, but actually inside I was dying. That wasn't who I was. I was this mess, if you like, and that's what I truly believed. So I'd have these masks, throw in a couple of kids in the mix, and then I'd have this mum mask, this loss of identity of actually who am I. And if I showed the real me, if I showed the person who was struggling, the person who had developed OCD, you know, just to give you an idea, I used to check doors 10, 20, 30, 40 times, and I'd go back and lay in bed and I'd be like, oh my God, you've locked it. But what if you haven't locked it? What if that was yesterday? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going crazy. If anyone sees this, they're going to take my kids off of me, you know. So all these things just kept layering up. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm done with this. I don't get it. There's something else. So I attended a course on NLP, just like an introductory, and I was like, what? So I can overcome this OCD. I can take control of this anxiety. And I didn't understand it. I was just curious. And my last 3 years have been that, really. So I've gone from not being able to walk into a room with people I know without, you know, having some real social things going on, making excuses to not go, to then standing on stage, speaking to 1,000 people, hosting personal development events. You know, it's a massive change in such a short space of time. And if you told me I could have done that 3 years ago, I'd be like, nah, it's not happening. You know, that's not me. You know, I'm this person that wants to hide and not be around anyone.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
And that's why I'm excited for this talk tonight. And, you know, we talked about it before. We keep it as relaxed, as conversational as we can. And I think for those people that have taken the time to join, the thing that I want to be able to do with these interview sessions is just help people learn some of the practical steps that you've taken, so that somebody else might be able to use them too. And, you know, so if you have just tuned in and you are listening and you just caught the start of Chelsea's story, please just have a little think about someone in your network right now, because I think what connects Chelsea and I is we don't want to change the world by changing the world. We want to help change the world by making someone's life better, one person at a time. And I think you and I both share that belief. So if there's someone in your network that you're thinking of right now, then please just take the time to share that with them. But for now, let's just dive into it. You know, thank you for sharing that. I admire your courage and your vulnerability, you know, and to be able to share your story is the true test of courage. And I guess, you know, from where you are now to where you were, like, what you've talked about NLP, but what were some of the main things that really helped you with your mindset?
Being really honest and brutally honest that I wasn't okay. That not that there was anything wrong with me, but actually going, shit, this is not right. You know, this is hard. And for whatever reason that is, you know, what's going on. And it was just that kind of, okay, it's been the NLP and it is about investing. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean investing in, say, coaching, but I was like, I was interested. What's going on? What is this? I could learn more about this. Okay, let me find out. And when I first started, I didn't have the money to go and spend on these courses. But what I did do is get the personal development books or join the groups. And anyone that I was intrigued in, okay, what is that? It was just purely on a base of curiosity. What's got my attention there? And I didn't need to understand it. I didn't need to know what the steps were. As I said, if you told me 3 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd say, no way, it's not happening. But it was that actually practical, what's going on with me right now? And what makes me feel good? What am I interested in? I've had that massive, I think we all do, when we do the shiny object syndrome, where we all just go, you know, go off in all these tangents and do all these things. But it really was actually just keep checking in with what's working for me. And obviously, as my journey's gone on, there's been things I've done with journaling, affirmations, you know, stuff along those things. That doesn't necessarily work for me now because I'm in a different place, and I've really tapped into what it is that does work for me. But what I would just say to people is try it all, but don't do it all. You know, if something's got your attention, then go ahead and do that. But you've really got to invest in yourself. Like, obviously, we've spoke about this. I split up with the kid's dad, you know, 7 months ago. And I had a choice a few months to invest in my business or invest in myself. And I thought, you know what, I'm not in a good place. So I invested in an exercise, in like a transformation, a package, where I then was having to look at my food that I was putting into my body. And it's been a massive learning curve for me, actually, because I thought I was doing all right before, but actually adjusting that, getting up and exercising every day, doing these small little things has been a massive change and allowed me to get through which has had a massive impact on my business, the things I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always have to be the go-to things of go to a course, go and do this. It's whatever that's going to get you moving and taking action every single day. And that will be different for everybody.
Yeah. Is there, you talked about personal development. Is there a book or a couple of books that you generally recommend other people to check out?
It depends what industry you're in. Obviously, my favourite book from a coaching perspective is The Prosperous Coach. I absolutely love that book, and that was one that I had listened to in the beginning of my journey. So that's probably from more of like a business, a coaching one. There's a couple of books that I do love. One of them is The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. I absolutely love her. If you've not seen her TED Talks, they are ones that I just have on repeat. They're all about guilt and shame, and I just adore the woman. And she's got. Have you seen her? Have you seen her on Netflix?
I haven't, but I've read her books. Yeah.
She's got. I think it's about an hour long on Netflix, and it is amazing. It's just brilliant. I just love the woman. So her power of vulnerability, and one for the women is quite an easy one. Is Girl Code by Cara Alwill-Leiber, I think her name is. She's an amazing woman. I'm connected with her on Facebook. But it's all about this whole thing of sticking together as women, supporting each other, not trying to tear each other down. Yeah. And I don't think that kind of comes across, especially when you're growing up, that, you know, these women, we do better together, I'll put it that way. And I just kind of love that.
I agree with that. I think when you combine that with vulnerability, that there's a lack of vulnerability, you know, going on in those cases where people don't support each other, people tear each other down. It's the lack of being vulnerable themselves, isn't it? And yeah, it's
I think this is why I tell my story, is because it gives people permission to not be okay. And my story is quite hard, you know. Obviously I've done a very short version of it, and I do go in depth. And when I talk about things, I talk about the yucky stuff that people don't want to hear, because if no one's talking about it, then it's under the table. And when you can just open and just say to someone, you know what, it's fine to not be okay. It's fine to know where you're at as well. Everyone's trying to be at step 10 all the time, and they come across with social media, that they're doing better and always actually you're okay to be learning. And that's what that Prosperous Coach book's about as well. It's actually you're okay to be where you're at and know where you are.
I recently gave a talk, one of my first kind of real public speaking talks, a couple of weeks ago, and I shared some vulnerability in my own story that I'd connected to recently, and I felt that even delivering it, there's another layer of depth and detail and vulnerability that I could probably go to. I just kind of, what's, you know, talking about your story done for you, and how's that kind of changed the more and more that you get comfortable with delivering it?
Do you know what? There's still parts of my story now when I say them out loud in front of a room full of people, my heart goes, oh. You know, I'm the person that goes against all of the public speaking rules. I move around too much, I wiggle my hands, I get emotional and I cry, but that's me. And I just think my story is worth sharing. My story is more important than whether or not I'm doing it properly. I'm doing it as me.
Authentic.
And one of the best things when I get off is that people say, oh, do you know what, you're so genuine? Because then it gives them permission to do that as well. Like no one needs permission to be themselves, but we kind of think we do. Like we have to be this other person. But for me, is that kind of the more I say it, the more I share it, the more impact that I have. So you had your first public speaking?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
So it's brilliant. So have you heard of the cat and dog audience members? Okay, so you get two types of people in the audience. You get the cat people and the dog people. The dog people are the ones kind of nod away. They smile when you smile. They laugh when you laugh. The cat people give you nothing. You don't know if they like it. You don't know if they hate it. And you, no matter how many times you do this, you focus on these people as you're talking. Okay, so you suddenly go around and you think, oh my God, they hate me. And you think, just ignore them. They're gonna love me at the end. But what you don't realise is that person can be going through all sorts of stuff. I had one, I went and spoke up in Sheffield, and this guy, he was a cat person, and I thought, oh my goodness, he hates me. You know, and I'm doing my story and all this, but actually, do you know what? He come over and we had this cuddle for like 5 minutes. He's been going through some really, really hard stuff, and he was processing. So we can't always assume we know what's going on with people. And even me as a speaker and doing this, but my story reached him that day. And for me, that was something I was like, do you know what? However uncomfortable that was, having someone stare at you thinking, they hate you, it's worth it, because actually I impacted him. I made an impact on whatever it was that he was going through, that he then was able to take some more steps of. And I think that's the key, is you're never going to win over the whole room. Not everybody's going to like you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what it's about. And it comes to the more that I stand up and believe and say these things, the more I don't need anyone to like me.
100%.
Because if I can get that message to one person that's going to go and change their life, go and do something. I mean, obviously, with my story, I do attract people that have got some real heavy stuff going on that they might have not told anyone for 40 years. And if I can let them be free of that, even just to tell me, that's amazing. So my story is tough in terms of sometimes when people hear it, but it's something that I actually fall in love with every time I tell it.
What's helped you connect with it?
Seeing somebody become free of whatever it is that they've got going on.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much power in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's hard because when I first started, I'm like, you know, how much do I go in? What do I say? I quite write dramatically on stuff if anyone does follow me, but it's almost in talking it's a different thing. And you're like, where do you go? And obviously, because my story, people come along a journey with me, and there might be some tears with some people, and I can know by how people respond. I don't know what's going on in their life, but I know that there's something. And if you can take them through that journey, and sorry, I'm lost in the world of talking.
You're good. You're good.
But yeah, if you can literally just take them on that journey and give them hope to do whatever it is. And people come up to me and go, oh my God, I haven't got a story like yours. Like, you don't need a story like mine. You just need to be a little bit uncomfortable with whatever it is you've got going on, and you're stuck. That's it. So let's get you through that.
It's interesting. It's cool. I'm loving the chat, and it's interesting. Listen, we can all look at other people and think, oh my God, they've got it easier or suffer, or they've got a better story than I think. You're right. We just got to go within and find our own and connect with that as authentically as you can. And would it be because you quite clearly have the strong word survivor in a lot of your bios? And was there a time when you would have the kind of victim mentality?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I wore that like a cape forever. That was just one of these things. It was my comfort zone. It was my comfort blanket. I was this victim of abuse, so for anyone who doesn't know it, I was raped when I was 18. It was by someone I knew. I then ended up in a domestic abusive relationship straight after, and it was kind of along those things. And I come out of it, and I was this person who had all their shit together on the surface but underneath didn't. So I then started wearing it as a cape. I had anxiety. What we don't realise is that we give power to these things the more we say these things. Actually, what is it going on? I feel bad today. Okay, why do I feel bad? Because of this, this, and this. Yeah. Okay, that's completely different than saying I'm depressed, I have anxiety, I want to, there's been things with me where I wanted it to end. I've been at the end of a train station thinking, just step out there. I want that pain to end. I've got to that point. And just go, I just want it over. Just a voice went, what are you doing? Like my family used to be. In that moment, I was very, very lucky that I never took those steps. I had them a few times, but I'd be, at this point I was drinking, I was on drugs, I was also going up London, an amazing job. So I was living these two different worlds. My family, I'd hurt my family when this had happened, not directly, but this is how I felt. Like I'd let them down, I brought shame onto them, and then it was all over. And I was like, well, okay, I can't tell them I'm not okay. I've just got to keep pretending. So I created this, I was fine. And
who did you first admit you weren't okay to? Was it somebody else or yourself? Like, what helped you have that I'm not okay conversation?
The I'm not okay conversation, what point? In the turning point of this, or just
the acknowledgement, the first time you really truly acknowledged that you weren't okay and that you needed to get that change?
It wasn't I was even aware that I wasn't okay. It was more a thing of what, so I can feel better. Like it was almost like, and we get so stuck in our everyday processes of just doing, we don't realise how crap it is until we feel better. We just get up every day and we go through the motions, and we have the headaches, we have the stress, we have the feelings of anxiety, the little things that we have to do to get through each day. They're never big decisions. But all of a sudden, you're years down the line, and all these little things now are controlling your life, and you thought you had control of them. So it wasn't a case for me that I just went, I am not okay. It was more like, I'm interested as to what I can feel better. And that was all it was. It's from a pure place of curiosity, and everything I've done has been about what feels like. It's like my stomach, my heart, and I'm like, there's just something. When I wanted to do NLP, I had no idea what it was, and I was like, I just want to do it. And I do make decisions like that, but I am actually strong on the fact that that's my gut telling me what the right thing to do is, and I've done my decisions like that for the last 3 years. But now, obviously, as a coach, I do ask the questions, and I do go, what's actually going on with me here, and I process through. But it was never a case of going, I'm not okay. It was more like, I've had enough. That moment when you get yourself up off the floor and go, I'm ready to fight now.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what NLP is and why you love it.
So NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. Why do I love it? So what is it? So it's the way that we communicate to ourselves, to others. The words we say, the language we use is so important. And it's all to do with our belief system. So for instance, the beliefs that we have, the things that are installed of us, are usually not even our beliefs. They're from when we were children growing up. The imprinting period is from the ages of 0 to 7. So if you're thinking, all these things that you do were given to you, they don't necessarily mean that they're serving you. Okay. So NLP looks at the way that we talk, and like someone will talk to me and I can kind of tell where they're at with things and what's stopping them. Like if we say, I've got a task to do or something, I'm struggling, this is going to be really hard. You're already setting yourself up for this to be really hard. What if it wasn't really hard? What if it was whatever else? So NLP allows me to use language to get my clients to get through those blocks, to get through that. What it is, it's just challenging the beliefs and things that we have about ourselves, about others. It's also a big thing around accepting who you are, accepting others, meeting people where they're at, and not that assumption. It's an amazing tool, actually, and very, very interesting. But when I did it, it was purely on the basis of, I want to feel better, and I don't know what this is, but this is what it was. I went into, when I first went on the course, I do speak about this for anyone that's listening, may have already heard this, but I walked into this course. It was my friend who was running it. He's an amazing trainer, an amazing guy. And 2 days before, I messaged him and I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. My anxiety was through the roof. And he went, look, I need you there because you're going to make the numbers odd. So I was like, okay, I can't let him down. I didn't know what he was doing at the time.
Tapping into your OCD,
Yeah, like the numbers are going to be odd. I'm going to let him down. I would let myself down time and time again, but I was not going to let anybody else down, because then I'm a bad person, right? And no one can know that, I think I am a bad person. So I turned up to this course. There was a room of 10 or 12 people, and they're coaches. There's some amazing people that I met on that course, and they're getting up and they're doing their introduction, 45 seconds, and I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Just for anybody, if you ever need to talk first and you don't like talking, or if you ever need to talk and you don't like talking, when they go, got to introduce yourself, just get it out of the way first. Because the longer you get around watching everyone else, you go, oh my God, should I say this? Oh, it's awful. So by this time it's festering and I'm thinking, I can't do it. I had to get up and to say my name, what I wanted from the course, and what I did for 45 seconds. I got 20 seconds in. I'm shaking, I'm crying. I wasn't know if I was going to be sick, or it just was, I'm like, my stomach's in knots. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I can't do this. But the most amazing thing happened that week, because it was just allowed me to really tap in, ask questions. Because that's what NLP is. There's an overlap with the coaching. It's asking questions to get around, why do you believe these things, or what's going on for you? Where's this come from? Is that even a thing? So that week was one of the best things I've ever done. And then within 4 months, I stood on the stage in 1,000 people and spoke about sexual abuse. Wow. I was crying in a room telling my name less than 4 or 5 months before. So it's a massive change in taking control. But I mean, an example actually of maybe NLP. So I've got a client who, when they did cycling, would always be at the back of, they'd be, say, in the middle. Whenever they got to a hill, they would be at the back. And did a bit of work around it. And it turns out that while we were sitting talking and having these discussions, it popped in that they remembered a time when they was at nursery and their mum had left them. And it was that feeling of being left behind. And so this whole thing of being left behind on this hill in cycling as a 50-year-old man wasn't to do with that. It was to do that when he was 4, his mum left him at nursery and he cried. So then he had this thing about this like separation anxiety. So we have these things that occur to us and that happen in our life that are not even relevant anymore. So I always say to my clients, like, if we're doing something and something pops in your head that's really random, what we do, we just block these things away. Do you know, if you're walking down the road and you think, oh, where did that come from? Or whatever else. It's a trigger. Something's triggered that belief, triggered that memory up for you, whatever it is. And what we do is we push it away. Where did that come from? But what it's almost saying is our minds are going, deal with this. This is relevant. So if you're talking about things with anxiety or low self-esteem or anything like this, something comes up, a memory that made you feel bad, it's because of that. It doesn't always have to be bad things. There can be good things that come up. But generally is that kind of, we knock these things away saying they're not relevant anymore. But actually they are relevant, which is why they've come up. So then ask that question, what is it? What made me think of this? What was it about that? Because there was no way this guy believed on this hill that the reason why he was ending at the back of the pack had anything to do when he was 4 years old and being left by his mum at nursery.
It's really powerful, isn't it? Have you seen the film Inside Out, the Disney film Inside Out?
Yes.
So when you were about these triggers, it just reminded me of the little people just sticking at the memory ball up the chute, and
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And the way that our mind works, like we can only process, it's 5 minus or plus 2 bits of information, 7 minus 2 or plus or minus 2 bits of information. Basically 5 to 9 bits of information at any one time. And what we focus on is what we would pull out, right? So there's, I think it's 60 or 80,000 bits of information coming at you every second or minute or whatever it is. I'm not particularly, I always screw up the numbers, but you get the point. So basically all this information is coming at you, but we're only focusing on, say, 5 to 9 bits of information, which means if we don't believe that we're good enough, we are going to find things that back up that in those things. So if you, instance, you're all sitting there, if anyone's listening, you're concentrating on, hopefully you're concentrating on me talking and you're enjoying this conversation between me and Ryan, but you know, you're sitting here, but what you're not doing is feeling the fact that your foot's touching the floor until I bring that to your acknowledgement, and now all of a sudden you can feel that your foot's touching the floor. And this is the same thing as what we do, right? Is we focus on the things that we're doing. So you've got children. When your missus was pregnant, how many people did you see that were pregnant? Everyone's always pregnant. Well, then people have always been there, but you're now focusing in on them. So if you're having these moments of not feeling good enough, feeling like you're a failure, you are going to focus on all the things that tell you that why that is, not all the other reasons that don't. You're going to blank them out.
So how do you help people flip that?
Awareness. People come to me and they want this how-to guide. It doesn't work like that, because I will only work for a set amount of packages. I won't do like one-off sessions and stuff, because I can make you feel good for an hour, but that's not going to sort out 30 years of programming, you know, that kind of thing. But it is, for the first couple of weeks when we're doing things or whatever we're doing, it's awareness. What's going on? And it is just that, okay, when are you thinking that? How are you thinking that? Because then once you start being aware of it, you're conscious of it. The thing is, we do these things or unconscious or subconsciously, however you want to do it. I know that people do flip those words around quite often, but we do these things automatically. So those moments of, and we're always quite negative and stuff, or we can all be quite negative. It's a lot easier to say we're not good enough than, oh, well done. And it is just what I say to people is just be aware of what you're saying and when that's coming up, when that's triggering. What is that about that? And just ask the questions like, what's going on? When's it happening? What made me think that? What we often do is when we have those thoughts, we back them away. Go. And it's just awareness, because once we bring it to our conscious, then we can correct it. It's when we're doing it automatically.
I love that. You talk a lot about confidence, and I get a sense that confidence is central to a lot of what you do. Why is that important?
Confidence is central because it's confidence in you, right? And it's actually the whole thing of not caring what other people think. If anyone does follow me, they'll see that I had my clients, and I did this, running around pretending to be on a motorbike through Leeds train station. And people are like, what are you doing? What a waste of time. But it's not about that. It's not about making a prat of yourself in public. It's about doing that, having that feeling of like when you was a child, of just being free from judgment and realizing that no one actually cares.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, is that people don't care as much as you think they do. Everyone's so wrapped up in themselves. And if you can get someone, so for confidence in terms of me, it's actually about confidence in you. And it doesn't mean you've got to be the best at what you do. It's about knowing where you're at. And that's all I are, like where you're at and what you want, and being confident enough to say, do you know what, actually, I'm okay. Or I can be better. That's fine. I'm all for being the best we can possibly be, right? Which is why I do invest in myself, in business, in mind, and everything else. It is always, there is that next step. We can always be better, but confidence in yourself starts with knowing where you're at and what your skills are. We always think we've got to get more skills. Most people are overskilled for what they want to do, actually. But what we're trying to do is get another bit of pay. It's not that, it's the belief, it's the confidence. And if I can get someone to go, do you know what, I'm good enough, they can change the world. Like, I know that sounds dramatic, but they can. They can certainly change their world and the people around them.
What's one of your favourite questions to ask clients?
Ooh. I think there's probably a couple of them on here. We should ask them. It's probably the same one. Let's have a think. One of my favourite questions to ask clients. Oh, you've thrown me there. Let's have a think. Okay. What's true about that? Because I have clients come to me at different stages, whatever they're doing, whether they're going to speak on stage, whether they're going to change something in the business, whether they're just trying to get up for the day. And they'll have meltdowns, as we all do. We're allowed to. I think this is the hardest thing sometimes in this industry, is that we've all got to be okay. Now, guess what? We're allowed to be angry. We're allowed to have the ump. We're allowed to cry. We're also allowed to be happy. They're just a range of emotions we need to experience. So if a client's having a meltdown, like, what's true about that? Or versions of that kind of thing, is that actually what's true? What are the facts in this situation? I've asked people to do certain tasks before, and they will not be able to get through it. And I'm like, what have I asked you to do? I've asked you to list some words on a bit of paper. Like, it doesn't need to be dramatic.
Yeah.
And we have a laugh about it, right? Because actually I know that things in fear and that they can paralyze you, they can stop you moving forward, and that judgment and whatever else. But actually, what have I asked you to do? I've asked you to put some words on a bit of paper. Like, what is it about that's thingy? Because it's not about the words, it's about the feelings that it's bringing up, and that's something else.
I've got a big smile on my face when you said about the what's true about that, because it's one of my favourites too. And I often use it when my wife's complaining, as she'll do, just before you're about to go to sleep. I get all the world's problems coming at me, and I just, what's true about that? And instantly I get that look of, oh, damn it, just let me moan for a while. Because you've called bullshit on something. But it's very powerful.
But it is, but we get caught up in our own bullshit, and I do it, we all do it. It's just excuses. I think my excuses are probably a little bit more leveled up now as a coach. I think I get a bit more clever, but you need someone to just go to me, well, what's true about that? Actually, how much of that's bullshit? I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. Actually, and it is just that, what's true right now, what's going on, what's happening today.
Love that. You talked a little bit a minute ago about the sense of being better, and obviously, my ethos, my practice is all about being always better than yesterday. I'm just curious to know, kind of, what does that phrase mean to you?
Do you know what? I might go against all the entrepreneur. For me, it's not jumping out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, throwing my stuff off, reaching for the sky. I'm a mum. Sometimes I slide out of the bed and pull my eyes open, But for me, it's about being better than you were. So this is something I teach my kids. Like, my son loves football. It's not about being the best on the team. It's not about there's always going to be someone better at you. And this is the thing with social media. You can feel amazing, have your best day of your life, and you'll go on social media and someone's just done better at you at 7 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden you're feeling shit again. Yeah. But it's about actually what are you doing? How are you showing up? What is it you want? I had an amazing guy, JP de Villiers, if you know of him. He's bless him, he's actually in intensive care. He's had a bad accident, but he came and spoke at my event last month, and he can only sum it up, what it actually means to me in the best way. He asked a question: would you follow you? And I went, oh, actually that can just sum up everything. How I show up every day, So I'm not gonna take his sentence as my own, but it was just so powerful that I just thought, you know what, that is it. How do I show up every day as a mum, as a person? Would I follow me?
Yeah.
Would I look? What am I putting out there? Would I follow me? And I just thought that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm promoting being the best version of yourself, however that is, right? Whatever that is, whether that is just getting through the day or whether that's going for the, you know, the big stuff. Whatever I'm doing, would I follow me? I just thought that's it. That's always going to be what I ask myself now, to know if I'm showing up how I want to show up to the world, what I can give to the world, what I can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be big things. As I say, it could just be being a mum. Am I happy with how I'm showing up?
And do you know what? That the answer to that question can change from yes to no in a matter of moments. You know, it's different points, different days. We react, we respond. Yeah, that's really, really powerful as a question, as a reflective tool to say, actually, you know, just that moment of consciousness, isn't it? If you can use that on your shoulder to go, actually, what am I doing right now? And I sometimes use that to check in with being a parent, because sometimes there's that, you know, you're on your phone a little bit, and I think your kids just caught you out on it, and they'll go, Dad, put your phone down, and I'll instinctively go, oi, who are you telling me what? I think, actually, no, if he's saying that, you know, and it's almost a similar sort of question going on in my mind. And yeah, that's a powerful tool to be able to pull on, I guess, to enable that conscious thought and decision making.
I mean, I've always done it in different ways, you know, ask questions, as you say, with the parenting. Probably could have been a bit better today, or, you know, whatever else. But it is, again, like, we all make mistakes, right? And something that I got from Bream Brown is you can make a mistake. It doesn't mean you are a mistake. And that's something I instill through my children. And I absolutely love that. I say it to my clients, you know, we have all done things we are not happy with. We have all done things. We all make mistakes, and we can do them daily. You know, whenever the finished article, there's always going to be something else to learn. But yeah, just to sum up in that, like, literally is, would you follow you? And I thought, actually, if this was, okay, for the parenting, if this was going out and people were seeing this, did I probably shout a little bit quick today? Yeah, I probably did. You know, but I'm human. I make mistakes. 100%. That's fine. Yeah. But it is just that reflecting, as you say, bringing it constantly into the consciousness and actually going, did I do what I wanted to do? Am I being that person?
I love that. Where can people connect with you? Where can people find you? Where can people follow you?
Okay, so Facebook is probably what I'm on most on, so please add me. If for any reason you can't, because I know, because I'm quite near the limit, just message me. I'd love to connect with you all through that. So yeah, just Facebook's my main one, or Instagram. My handle's _Chelsea. I'm on there, so yeah, share a bit of my life on there as well.
That's amazing. And you know, just, if you are checking this video out and you've got this far, then first of all, just say thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time out of your evening. I hope it's added you some, actually I know it's added you some value. There are a number of questions I think that we've probably gone through, so we'll jump in after and answer those if that's cool with you.
That's cool.
And again, if you push our faces, make sure that if you're not connected with Chelsea already, you go do that now. And I said that at the very start, there is someone in your network that needs to hear this story right now. Think of them. Please just share it either on your timeline or in your inbox. I'm not precious where. Just make sure it gets to that person that you think that needs to hear this today. And I just want to say, Chelsea, it's an honour and privilege to have you on. I always, you know, have much admiration for anyone that will show up in their, you know, pure vulnerability and with the sheer purpose to help other people. And I think, you know, hats off to everything you do, everything you stand for.
Thank you.
And I would just like to leave you the opportunity to share a final thought from yourself.
I would love to. So it was really funny because when you were doing your introduction to me, as I was watching, and you said about having inspiring people on, it took me a long time to realise that just by being me, that's an inspiration. You don't need to have all these things, but there will be someone who's behind you that needs to hear your story, or needs a service that you do, or a product you've got. And the only reason that you're going to be different is if you actually accept that you are different. And that's going to be good enough. Like, we all hear that about the brand, you know, people buy you, they don't buy it's so true. But if you don't believe in you, no one else is going to. And that's been my biggest thing, is actually accepting that somewhere I'm an inspiration. Because for years I never thought that. Like, why would anyone think I was inspiring? I'm a mess, But actually, we're all very inspiring. And even just being able to show up as you is enough to inspire someone to do the same.
That was beautiful. There's nothing I can add to that. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an awesome week. To everyone that's checked it out, thank you so much. Please do share it, and have a great week. See you next time. Much love.
Bye.